Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now it is happening. This is not a drill. Bitcoin is breaking out to the upside as this massive bullish signal is still flashing on this chart, while this bullish signal is also still playing out on this chart. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside my Bitcoin trading strategy right now, alongside Ethereum now bouncing from critical support, while Solana is now running into short-term resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before getting into the Bitcoin charts today, taking a look at the Bitcoin news today, and on Tuesday, we saw another decent inflow into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. This time around, it was a net inflow of over 100 million US dollars. And if we're taking a look at the inflows so far this week, on the Monday, we saw a net inflow of $66 million. And on Tuesday, once again, we saw a net inflow of 100.5 million US dollars. And so at least in the short term, while we're seeing these decent inflows, basically anything over $100 million inflow per day, that should be considered a bullish signal for Bitcoin. But if we're seeing anything less than 100 million for inflows or outflows, anything less than 100 million doesn't really have a major impact on the price. But once again, if we're seeing 100 million or anything larger than a $100 million inflow or outflow, that is when that can start impacting the price of Bitcoin. So when we're starting to see numbers above 100 million, that's where the Bitcoin ETFs are actually important to pay attention to. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, looking at the 3-day time frame, and right now, this hidden bullish divergence is playing out basically perfectly so far on the 3-day Bitcoin chart. And a hidden bullish divergence is usually not as strong as a regular bullish divergence, but basically a hidden bullish divergence works with the trend as more of a trend continuation pattern. And as of right now, we've technically been in a larger bullish trend for well over a year now, since the beginning of 2023. And so basically this hidden bullish divergence is telling us that we're likely going to continue that larger bullish trend with another major move to the upside at some point in the next few months. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, looking at the DXY, also known as the US dollar index, and what we are seeing right now is a massive drop to the downside in the DXY. And this is definitely something important to pay attention to, because time and time again, this DXY is an extremely accurate indicator for the price of Bitcoin in terms of the larger moves here on the daily time frame. Because as we can see here, time and time again, when the DXY is bullish, that is almost always bearish or at least neutral for Bitcoin and crypto. But when the DXY is trending in the bearish direction, that is often very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. And we saw that roughly around 2 weeks ago with this drop to the downside right here. That basically happened pretty much just before this spike to the upside that we saw roughly 2 weeks ago in the price of Bitcoin. And we are seeing it once again right now. And so, like I've been saying recently here on the channel over and over again, this DXY is telling us that we're likely going to see more of a bullish reversal out of this short-term bearish trend into a new short-term bullish trend, especially if the pullback continues in the DXY as it is doing right now. Because once again, simply take a look at the last couple of times where the DXY has trended back into the bearish direction, and we can clearly see what the price of Bitcoin has done during those previous examples, as we've seen time and time again throughout Bitcoin's history. And of course, this is not the only bullish signal that I've talked about recently here on the channel. If we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin RSI, right now, this is massively breaking out to the upside. And obviously, I've been talking about this basically non-stop over the last 2 weeks or so. First of all, we saw that initial breakout above this descending line of resistance, and then we came back down for a retest to confirm that previous resistance into new support, and then we consolidated above that line of resistance, and now we're continuing the breakout further to the upside. And if we're taking a look at the last time we saw a major breakout in the RSI above a descending line of resistance, that was right back here near the beginning of February, and what came next was a major bullish move in the price of Bitcoin. But if we're looking at the last time we actually saw a breakout and then a retest and some sort of consolidation and then a further move to the upside in the RSI, like what we're seeing at the moment, the last time we saw something like that was back here during around mid to late September. And if we're looking at the Bitcoin price during that time period, it looks extremely similar to right now, where we just had a pullback in the price of Bitcoin. We kind of consolidated somewhat sideways for a few weeks and even actually over a month. And then we eventually reversed back into the bullish direction from a short-term bearish trend into another bullish trend that lasted for a few months. But as always, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So on the larger time frames, even though we might be due to see another major bullish move, that can contain short-term bearish price action here and there. And so do not be fooled by short-term dumps that we see in the price of Bitcoin, like what we saw just the other day, because once again, like I said in my last video, that short-term dump was basically just a trap to trap people to perhaps panic sell their Bitcoin before this bullish move, which was expected if you've been watching this channel. And if you're new to this channel, the good news is all of these signals that are flashing on the larger time frames, like the daily chart and especially here on the 3-day time frame, these are signals that should play out over at least a few weeks, if not multiple months. Because for example, if we're taking a look at this previous breakout in the RSI, that bullish move played out over around a little over 1 month, so around 5 weeks or so. Or if we're looking at this previous example from September up until January, that played out over around 4 months. Or if we're taking a look at these signals in the DXY, once again, these also played out over those same time periods. And now obviously nothing is 100% guaranteed. So just because we saw this, for example, play out over 4 months, that does not mean we're about to see 4 months worth of a bullish trend. Because once again, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but this is just to give you an idea of what we could potentially expect over the next few months as a likely scenario. And so that's why I said in my last video, do not be fooled by short-term dumps on smaller time frames, because we can see some red days here and there, even during a larger bullish move. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, right now the price of Bitcoin is currently massively breaking out to the upside from this bullish falling wedge pattern. And now, technically speaking, we have not yet actually confirmed the breakout for this falling wedge, because as of right now, we still technically need to see this daily candle close actually confirm above this resistance, which is sitting at around 62.7k approximately. But obviously, at the time of recording this video, it is looking likely that we're going to see this daily candle close above this resistance. And ideally, in order to become more confident that we're really reversing back into the bullish direction here in the short term, we ideally need to break out above this previous high. And as of right now, if we're looking at the previous candle closes, we've already done that, because the previous high in the daily candle closes is sitting at around 64.2k. But if we're looking at that actual candle wick high, that's sitting at around 65.6k approximately. And so ideally, if we start breaking out above around 65,500 to actually set a new higher high in place in the price of Bitcoin, then that would be a bullish reversal signal, because in that case, we now have a higher low. And obviously, if we break out above the previous high, we would have a higher high, which is a new bullish trend beginning to form in the shorter term. And so if we see those confirmation signals like this daily candle close actually confirming above resistance, or ideally a breakout above the previous high, if we see those extra confirmation signals, then that would set up a bullish price target for this falling wedge pattern, which is at the top of the wedge at around 72 to 74,000. And we also have a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern right here, which we are also potentially breaking out from right now. But if we're looking at the price target for that pattern, it's also sitting very close to the falling wedge price target anyway, which is at around 71,000 approximately. And as for short-term support, we still have this area of support, which we just perfectly bounced from again, which I've been talking about over and over again here on the channel. And so once again, that area of support still sitting in between around 60.5k to 61k. But if we actually saw a break back below that area right there, we still have some more support down towards around 58,000 to 58,500, and more support at around 56,500. And technically speaking, if we further confirm this breakout for the falling wedge, this previous line of resistance that I just mentioned earlier should become new support as well. And as for my trading strategy for the price of Bitcoin right now, as I've been saying over the last couple of weeks, since all the way back down here, I've already scaled into a long position, which I actually mentioned here on the channel right around these lows. And then basically every single day since I started to scale into that long position around these lows, every day since then here on the channel, I've been giving you an update on that trade. And I did take a small amount of profits from that trade right here, but then I entered even more into that trade right around here. And so as of right now, I am still currently in that 300k Bitcoin long position. As you can see on the left side, it's a 300k long position. And as of right now, it's currently around $26,000 in profits, in unrealized profits, and around $1,500 in realized profits. But as I've also been explaining here on the channel just recently, the idea around this Bitcoin long position is not necessarily just to catch a quick little short-term pump, but more as a longer-term swing trade. And so once again, simply based on multiple indicators and patterns and things like that that are playing out right now on the Bitcoin price chart, as of right now, a lot of these indicators are pointing in the bullish direction. And so essentially the strategy for that trade is to hold that trade over potentially weeks, if not months, basically to catch a move like this or like this, for example. And potentially at some important points of resistance along the way, I may take some profits from that trade. Like for example, around 67,000, I may take some profits from that trade around there, because right around there, we do have some major resistance and a lot of liquidity. So that's a major price target. And I also might take some more profits from that trade around these highs. And so those are the areas that I have in mind to basically reduce the size of the trade, but not necessarily completely close the trade. And then also, as I usually do when it comes to my trading strategy, as the Bitcoin price continues this breakout, if the trade continues further into profits, basically I usually like to move the stop loss further into profits slowly as the price moves further into profits. And so by doing that, I'm basically securing more and more profits for this trade. But as of right now, the stop loss is already sitting in profits. And so once again, I'm currently just holding this trade as more of a swing trade rather than just a short-term scalp. And if you want to take trades just like this to make a lot of easy money in crypto, then make sure to check out this exchange which I'm trading on right now, which is Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position just by making a Bybit account, depositing on that account, and claiming this airdrop. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see just recently, since my last video, we have seen a lot of Bitcoin liquidations exactly as expected. Because once again, as I said in my last video, we did have a small amount of liquidity to the downside, but most of the liquidity was sitting to the upside in between around 63,500 to 64,000 approximately here in the short term. And so over the last one day, we've seen hundreds of millions of dollars of short positions getting completely wiped out, completely liquidated from this bullish move. And so part of this bullish move was potentially caused by a short squeeze, basically liquidating short positions, which adds even more fuel to the bullish fire that pumps the price of Bitcoin even more. And if we're zooming out to a larger time frame in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can still see a massive amount of liquidity to the upside at around 67,000 approximately. In fact, we actually have billions of dollars of liquidity in between around 67.3K to 67.6K. So right at around 67,500, give or take, we have billions of dollars of liquidity. And so that is definitely a major price target here in the short term, and it's very likely that the price sometime soon is going to go towards that area to wipe out a lot of short positions. And once again, that could potentially cause a major short squeeze even further to the upside, but considering there's likely going to be some big players in the market defending their billion-dollar short positions at those liquidation levels, and considering the fact that that's also occurring around previous resistance, like I said earlier, I may actually take some profits from my long position before we actually hit that level, maybe at around 66,500 give or take. I may look to take some profits from that long position, because once again, there's billions of dollars of short positions getting liquidated at around 67,500, which means big players are going to want to prevent the price going towards that level, at least in the short term. But once again, at least for now, I still have that long position just remaining open, and I will look to close part of that trade potentially at around those levels that I just mentioned, but keep the remainder of the trade open, just close a part of that trade. And another signal telling us that this is potentially a short squeeze that's playing out right now is the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates. Because right now, despite the recent pump in the price of Bitcoin and crypto, a lot of the funding rates right now are still sitting below neutral, with a lot of funding rates in the negative. And so basically, long story short, this is bullish for Bitcoin. When the funding rates are negative, that means there's a lot of people trying to short the market, and usually this results in a short squeeze. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and right now the price of ETH is bouncing from this critical Fibonacci level of support, which was sitting at around 2860 to 2870, so just below 2.9k. And so obviously, at least in the short term, it is very important that the price holds that level right there, because otherwise, if we see a confirmed break to the downside below that Fibonacci level, like I've said recently here on the channel, in that scenario, if we confirm a break to the downside, the next major retracement level is sitting at around 2,500. But at least as of right now, even though the price of ETH is technically still in this short-term pullback, we're also still within a larger bullish trend on the weekly time frame. It's just we're pulling back during this trend, especially if we bounce at this Fibonacci level like what we've seen previously. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, right now the price is also potentially forming this massive falling wedge pattern, as the price is still technically in this short-term bearish trend. So basically, Ethereum is currently lagging behind Bitcoin at the moment. And right now, the support line for this pattern is sitting at around 2850, and the resistance line for this pattern is sitting at around 3230. And if we're taking a look at the 8-hour time frame, right now the price is also bouncing from this critical area of support, sitting in between around 2850 to 2950. But at least as of right now, even despite the latest bounce in the price of ETH, the price of ETH is potentially just in this larger sideways price range on the 8-hour time frame, as we've seen over the last 1 month or so. And so basically, in order to start flipping much more bullish again for the price of ETH, so basically in order to start confirming more of a bullish trend reversal out of this short-term bearish trend into a new short-term bullish trend, we need to start seeing some confirmation signals in the bullish direction, like for example, a breakout above this line of resistance or above this previous high, which are both sitting at roughly around the same level. And to start, we also need a breakout above this area of resistance, which is sitting in between around 3.2k to 3250. And once again, we have some more resistance at around 3350 based on this high. And so until we start to see the price of ETH confirm a breakout above some of those levels on the chart, until we see that actually happen, as of right now, the price is still potentially just in this short-term pullback or short-term bearish trend that's occurring within a much larger bullish trend. But if we're zooming into the imminent short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, we are also potentially seeing a new bullish divergence pattern play out on the 4-hour time frame, with a new lower low just confirmed here in the price in the candle closes, and a new higher low confirming here in the 4-hour Ethereum RSI. And so this is telling us that at least for the next 1 to 2 days or so, we're most likely going to see either a slight bullish relief or some more choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcome just in the imminent short term here. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame, right now the price is running into this critical area of resistance after actually bouncing from this area of support, which, by the way, this area of support sitting in between 141 to 144, and below that area we also have some more support down towards 138 based on this candle wick low, and a massive amount of support in between 120 to 128. And as for short-term resistance, we have resistance right now which we're running into sitting in between 150 to 155, but if we see a breakout above that area, we also have a critical level of resistance based on previous resistance sitting at around 160, and that's also a potential neckline for this inverse head and shoulders pattern. And also based on previous support, we have even more resistance in this price range in between 167 to 172. But if we see a breakout above 160, then technically speaking, that could confirm the price target for this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern. And if we're taking a look at that technical price target, once again, if we actually confirm this breakout with some candle closes above 160 or flipping that level into new support, that would set up a price target at around 213. And so from the point of the breakout from around 160 to $213, that would be around a 33% move to the upside. But once again, it's important to understand that as of right now, that potential price target is not yet confirmed or in play, because in order to activate that price target to the upside, we need to activate this pattern by confirming a breakout above this neckline, which as of right now has not happened. And even in that scenario, even if we confirm a breakout above 160, we still cannot forget about this area of resistance or any other resistance between the price and the price target. And so basically right now the price of Solana, until we actually confirm this breakout, we're still looking relatively neutral, basically chopping around sideways as we've seen recently. But once the price eventually crosses above 160, then we can start flipping more bullish again in the short term for the price of Solana. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Solana or any other crypto, once again, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.